Bartholomew Town, bringing Rhode Islanders closer to their world since 2018. Brought to you in part by the University of Rhode Island Online, Newport Film, Half Street Group, Navigant Credit Union, and the Audubon Society of Rhode Island.
Bartholomew Town.
Welcome into Bartholomew Town. I'm Bill Bartholomew. So obviously we've got a lot to look forward to in terms of 2026 with the midterm elections, plenty going on at the statewide level. But right now here in our state, there is a pretty compelling special election taking place, that being the Senate District 4 special election. This would be for the seat occupied by the now late Senate President Dominic Ruggiero. There are 4 candidates in the Democratic primary that's coming up on July 8th. One of them is Lenny Cioe, who is a healthcare worker. He's previously ran twice challenging the Senate president as part of the Rhode Island Political Cooperative. Now, seemingly on his own, I don't think the co-op exists anymore at any level. Lenny joins us today on the podcast. Good morning, Lenny. Thanks for the time.
Bill, thank you. And I'd like to send my condolences out to the Ruggiero family. The Senate president served a long career, and I thank him for his service and his family. I hope that they can remember him well. So thank you for your time, Bill.
Of course. So why get into this race for a third time? What's on your mind, and what do you think you bring to the table?
I've been ringing the alarm bell for the 3 election cycles about the Medicaid reimbursements being too low, and it took Anchor Council to close. It took Providence Community Health Center to close sites and close their smart clinics. It took actual catastrophe as far as people trying to get primary care providers for the General Assembly to finally do something. And we should have not reached the crisis level for this to have happened. I was trying to be proactive and trying to alert them to what was going on. But as usual, they don't listen to the constituents and what people are saying.
Healthcare is without question one of the major crises facing particularly Rhode Island right now. There have been some late-breaking developments in terms of reimbursement rates. That's just one piece of a puzzle that has become daunting at minimum here in the state. What are some of the specific things you'd bring to the table as a healthcare worker day one after you're sworn in and take your seat? What does that look like? What perspective from a specificity level would you bring that is currently being ignored or at least is not even necessarily being considered?
All right. So I do applaud the new provider increase in the new Medicaid reimbursements. I think it's a great step forward. I'm really glad about it. But what they forgot was the healthcare workers that are actually doing the work every day. The nurses, and medical assistants, the radiology techs, the list goes on, the respiratory therapists, they forgot to include those people. During COVID, we were the ones that walked to work every day, facing the unknown, and then walked home. After COVID ended, they were calling us heroes during COVID and totally forgot about us afterwards. And that's what I would bring to the table, the people that actually do the work every day in the hospital, alongside the primary care providers and also in community health centers.
So you're saying essentially from a bottom-up standpoint, if that includes CNAs, if that includes anybody who works in the healthcare field, yes, in order to fix the healthcare system in this state, in part, the voices of those workers are essential to uplift. Is this, when you say that, are you talking about salaries and other benefits? What needs to be included in the conversation that's currently not being included in terms of healthcare reform from that standpoint of healthcare workers?
All right. Let's look at the strikes right now at Butler. The Care New England was trying to take away the pension plan of all the people that have worked there for years. They do not want to increase their wages. You have mental health workers there making just above the minimum wage of $17 an hour that need to work over 60 to 70 hours a week to survive and be able to pay their rent, buy groceries. They don't want to help them with the healthcare coverage that they have. So they were forced to walk. At Rhode Island Hospital, it's the same thing. Brown took over, and now they're fighting over the health care benefits and wages and retirement. These are the people that do the work. They should be protecting us instead of having us fight for these rights. And let's be honest, Bill, I did not go into nursing thinking I was going to be rich. I went in for other reasons, but I also need to make a living wage, be able to have a retirement, and be able to have good healthcare coverage for what I give up for what people give up as far as healthcare workers.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's something that few people would disagree with, right? Is that there needs to be, in general, we are way out of touch with what a living wage would be and what is actually a real wage for many, many sectors, and that includes those in the healthcare sector. When you look at District 4 right now specifically, and whether or not you're addressing this in the context of your three Democratic primary opponents or just in general, what are some of the greatest needs that have been, in your mind anyway, not addressed by the now late Senate President Dominic Ruggiero, who represented that district? And what do you bring to the table in terms of just on a community level representation?
All right. So first of all, District 4 I'm almost positive it's 33% of the population is above 65.
Wow.
2/3 of those people, almost 2/3 of those people are on Medicaid and Medicare.
Mm-hmm.
Those are serious issues if the Medicaid programs are going to be cut by the federal government. And that's where it hurts the community. That's where the state needs to step up. What I would do for the community and what I would propose, because trickle-down economics does not work, and we're seeing the results of that, is a 3% property tax on the multinational corporations within the state. ExxonMobil, Amazon, those would fund the stopgap programs to protect the seniors and protect the disabled and protect children, as far as for the state to continue these programs.
When you look at issues of, you almost call them boring constituent service types of issues that aren't necessarily the major crises of our time, we're talking, of course, housing, we're talking healthcare, we're talking about, basic access to food and things like this. But what are some of the things you hear out on the street, whether you're door knocking or just over these last years? You bump into a neighbor, they say, hey, geez, it'd be nice if the General Assembly did this. What kind of things are you hearing that you think you've come up with solutions to address in the context specifically of your district?
All right. So, Bill, do you want to talk just district issues?
Yeah, in this case, or in either case, like, what are you hearing from people in terms of just, hey, you know what, we're dissatisfied with the state of the General Assembly, or we're dissatisfied with the state of our representation on both the House and Senate side, and we'd love for this to happen. What kind of things you're hearing?
All right. So, Bill, as you know, all politics is local. And what I am hearing on the doors is, as I canvass, we have a councilman that's running for Senator Ruggiero's seat. Mm-hmm. We have the yard waste bags that go out on the street every week to be picked up.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But as a rite of spring for the past 3 years, they are left out on the street for 2 to 3 weeks. And by the time they actually come and pick them up, the bags have been weathered, they break apart, and the company leaves a mess on the street in front of your house. And people are upset about that. We have a woman working in the town that has worked 2 jobs, a union job and a town job, non-union, and collected 2 paychecks, and people are upset about that.
Okay.
And the last thing is with Mayor Lombardi and his recent being accused of using town workers to do his personal work was all under the councilman's nose because he was there when this was going on, and it's a small town. So everybody's aware of what's going on. Why weren't they doing anything? And they're asking me now, he wants a promotion. Like, how is he going to protect me if he didn't protect my tax money when he was here?
Sure.
So that is the actual on the ground language I've been hearing. And of course, I talk about healthcare. I talk about Rhode Island Energy because a lot of elderly people are affected by their policies. So that it all kind of blends into one. And it's the disconnect between the state government, local government, and the constituents within the state. It's within the district itself. And I want to bridge that gap. And I want to know that I'm there and I'm listening.
What are some of the things you've learned from the last two times you've run in this Democratic primary for this Senate district seat, challenging Senate President Ruggiero on two previous occasions? What'd you learn? What have you done differently, and what would you? I mean, without giving away trade secrets, what are some of the biggest lessons from your previous campaign that you're applying to this one?
Bill, if you run for office and you go door to door and it doesn't change you, you're running for the wrong reasons. It really, really changes your perspective on how people live and what they have to tolerate and what they have to do every day to get through the day. And it gives you a greater respect for the people in your district. I've met people that there was a woman she was a single mom. And she was so proud, and she showed me how she turned a large closet into a bedroom for her two sons. How they all work together to stay where they are because she wants to stay in the school district. I've met another woman that I helped her connect so she could actually get a portable oxygen tank carrier instead of using the old tanks. It just truly changes you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an incredible experience. So to say what I've learned, it's just that the compassion that we actually are missing in our government, and that I truly believe that public service is still a great endeavor. So, I mean, that's how I've changed.
Right.
And it's just enforced that.
That makes sense, that the experience of the actual campaigning would inform more and more. The more you do it, the more you start to pick up on, the actual reality people in Rhode Island, at least the people that you've been visiting. Is it fair to say that people in Rhode Island are hurting right now and they're looking for something to shift in their lives that, hey, we're doing everything we can? Or do you get the sense it's a little bit more mixed and there's some people who have kind of found a way to make the most of the situation or thrive in this current situation while there are others who are being left behind? Which one would you say is more accurate?
I say resilience. I've learned that my neighbors have resilience and that they come from wherever they like, whether they come from Central America, Italy, Ireland, wherever their heritage is, they have this certain resilience that they come with, and it's impressive. They figure out how to make things work, and they also figure out how to bring joy to what they are doing. And yes. Are they struggling? Yes. Are they having difficulties? Yes. But the resilience that they show and the respect that I have for them for what they're doing and is absolutely incredible. It's just resilience and their will to do better for their children and for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that a lot of people are trying to dig out right now. And with that, I'll ask you your take on the national scene right now. If you're elected as a state senator, we saw some horrific events take place in Minnesota over the weekend, and it is more clear than ever before that which is happening on the global stage, that which is happening on the national stage, is reflected, and perhaps in a bidirectional way, reflected at the state and municipal level. All politics are tied together into the same um, amoeba almost. And as a result, I think it's fair to ask, what's your take on the scene nationally right now, and what's your take on the political violence that we saw over the weekend in Minnesota?
The political violence comes from the top and has been encouraged by the current president. Think about all his rallies when he said, if you beat him up, I'll back you up. And he encouraged this violence. And now it's coming to full fruition. He allowed this to happen, and all the Republicans should take responsibility for what is happening. They love placing the blame on the other side when the blame is actually within themselves.
It does seem. Please continue. Sorry about that.
No, I'm sorry. No, yeah. Go ahead, Bill.
No, it does seem like right now is a moment. We saw it with the No King's Day protest over the weekend where, look, you had a lot of people out there who probably never even a million years thought about voting for Trump. But I spoke with a couple of people on the ground. One person was wearing a MAGA hat, and they told me that they were concerned about the rhetoric. They were concerned about the rise of authoritarianism, and that when they voted for Donald Trump, even though they continue to support the movement to some extent, they're not satisfied with the current state of affairs. Taking the politics out of it, taking your ambitions politically to be elected, to win this primary, to get elected into the Senate and make those changes that you have laid out. How important is it for this country right now? I mean, it's kind of an obvious question, but in your mind, I should rephrase it actually. What can be done to heal this moment right now where we can start to function at least with something closer to normalcy as we've known it at a democratic level, small d democratic?
Okay. Create community again. We are, I think, very isolated from each other. We're very separated. I am a master gardener, and I went through the program, and what I learned through that is creating community bridges gaps. Because now you're talking to somebody, they may have totally different views than you, but you talk, you build a relationship. And by doing that, not every event becomes an existential crisis.
Right.
You work together to fix it. And that's what I think we need to do again, is stop building community. And if you notice, as we stopped investing in parks and in community centers and in different outlets for people to go to, this is when the separations really started. And then we isolate on iPhones, we isolate on TikTok, we only listen to the people that like what we say. And we need to really put the phones down, shut them off, go outside, meet your neighbor, learn about your neighbor. I mean, I have people that are Trump supporters next door. We talk. He walked into my yard yesterday to use my wheelbarrow. Like we have a conversation. We don't agree, but we're not at each other's throats either.
Right. Well, you're speaking to something that I definitely have been doing a lot of research on, just gave a keynote speech on it, as a matter of fact, for Grow Smart RI, which is social atomization, that phenomenon you speak of, where we've become more like individualized atoms than a collective whole. And you've laid out some of the major causes and consequences of that exact situation. I completely agree with you. Lenny Cioe, he's in the Senate District 4 special election Democratic primary, which is coming up on July 8th. Lenny, where can people find out more information about your campaign if they're interested?
They can go to my Facebook page, Lenny for RI. My website still has it. It's still hasn't come up yet. We're having a problem with it, but Lenny for RI on my Facebook page. They can look me up there, or they can contact me at lennyforrhodeisland@gmail.com, which would actually be better. I'll get back to you right away.
Yeah, right. Getting into the direct constituent service piece of this already. Yeah. I should note to the other candidates in this race, if they hear this, and we will certainly honor equal time. Lenny reached out, and of course, Lenny, great to catch up with you again. It's been a while, and good luck in the campaign.
Bill, thank you for all your time and patience this morning.
Yeah, no problem at all. All right, talk soon. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Lenny Cioe, he's in that special election, Senate District 4. There, it's North Providence. It's coming up on July 8th. Hey, thanks for stopping by Bartholomew Town. For more content, follow me on Instagram @BillBartholomew.